There are stories that push the limits of what our minds can accept, and today, I'll tell you one of them, based on true events, collected through interviews, newspaper reports, and the notes of a young woman named Elif, whose curiosity led her into something she could never have imagined. This story begins with an ancient shrine known as the Tomb of Tezveren Baba, located in a quiet district outside Istanbul. The legend traces back to the era of Fatih Sultan Mehmet, the conqueror of Constantinople. Among his bravest warriors was a man who would later be called Tezveren Baba. During the conquest, he suffered devastating injuries and lost both of his feet. Instead of abandoning him, the Sultan took him into his care. The soldier retired from battle and dedicated his life entirely to faith and prayer. After his death, the Sultan had him buried in a sacred and honored grave. Over time, the site became more than a burial place. People started coming there not only to pray, but to wish for children, for health, for jobs. It became a spiritual destination. But as the shrine grew in reputation, rumors spread. The body had been buried with gold. Grave robbers attempted to disturb it. That's when a young man named Elif stepped in. He took it upon himself to guard the tomb, watching over it day and night, even after his death. Some say Elif never left. Many years later, a graduate student named Elif came across this story while researching her thesis on religious folklore. Elif wasn't a believer. In fact, she considered such practices as outdated superstitions. Her intention was to disprove these beliefs with academic rigor. She moved into a small apartment near the shrine, planning to conduct interviews and observe the rituals firsthand. At first, everything seemed normal. Locals told her about their wishes being granted, their prayers, and the small offerings they left at the shrine. But soon, Elif began to notice something strange. In several interviews, people would suddenly stop talking mid-sentence. When asked about nighttime events near the shrine, they grew silent. Nervous, they whispered stories about footsteps echoing through the night, as if someone with wooden clogs were walking tuk, tuk, tuk. Elif didn't believe any of it. She quietly dismissed it as folklore-induced hallucination. But then, she began to change. She grew pale, her hair thin. Sleep became difficult. One night, as she sat at her desk writing, she felt a presence behind her, a breath on her neck. She turned out nothing, but it kept happening. And then came the dream. She was drowning. Invisible hands reached for her throat, choking her. She woke up gasping, her hands on her neck. And that's when she heard it, not in a dream, but in her room. Tuk, tuk-a-tuk, the unmistakable sound of wooden clogs. After the night with the dream and the sound that seemed all too real, Elif was shaken. She tried to convince herself it was stress or lack of sleep, but the strange experiences only grew worse. Again and again, she felt a cold breath behind her. Shadows moved in her peripheral vision. Mirrors reflected something else. And that tapping sound, the wooden clogs, kept coming back. Her body weakened. She looked pale, hollow. Her hair began falling out. Still, she didn't stop working on her thesis. She told no one, not her family, not her friends. She didn't want to seem crazy. Then, one night, it happened. While writing, Elif suddenly felt a jolt of energy like an electric shock shoot down her spine. Her body convulsed and she fell to the floor, shaking. Eyes wide, she lay there, staring up at the ceiling. And then she saw it, a dark stain slowly growing above her bed, almost mold dash-like dot moving. Terrified, she fled her apartment and ran instinctively to the shrine. That's when she met an older woman, Veda Hannon, the caretaker of the tomb. Veda looked at her, calm but firm. "I knew you'd come," she said. "Since the day you arrived, something's been stirring." Elif tried to play dumb, but Veda's eyes saw through her. Finally, Elif admitted it. She had stolen a pair of wooden clocks from the shrine. It was meant to be symbolic, an object of study, nothing serious. But Veda's tone turned grave. "You broke the seal," she explained. "Long ago, the spirit of Elif, a man who once guarded the shrine, remained behind. Not fully human, not quite a ghost, a protector, balanced between worlds. And those who disturbed the shrine, he would not forgive." Veda described the ancient rule: if you take something from the spirit, you must return it the same way, same time, same place, or suffer the consequences. Elif was horrified, but she was determined to fix it. She learned to pray, learned to wash and prepare herself with respect. And one night, just as she had taken them, she returned to the shrine, the clogs in hand. The air was thick. Something whispered to her, right at her ear. She could feel that something close, breathing, waiting. She stepped inside. Her hands trembled as she placed the clogs back. At that moment, a sudden force hit the back of her head. She dropped to the floor, sprawled out, frozen. "Don't look at it," Veda had warned her. "Don't make eye contact." But curiosity is stronger than fear. Elif lifted her head. Elif lay frozen on the shrine floor. In her mind, Veda's warning echoed. "Don't look." But curiosity, it was too strong. She slowly raised her head. Water dripped from the ceiling, and right in front of her face, just inches away, lay the twisted, dead-looking hands. Gray, veined, motionless. The fingers curled like dried wood. The nails were cracked. And then she saw the face, white, eyeless, hollow. It was staring straight at her. Elif slammed her eyes shut and pressed herself against the cold ground, trembling. And then she heard it, tuk, tuk. The footsteps slowly faded away. She lay there for what felt like an eternity. Finally, when everything fell silent, she ran. Out of the shrine, through the streets, back to her apartment. But the horror didn't stay behind. The black stain on her ceiling grew larger. The whispering returned, this time from the mirrors, and Elif started to unravel. She began collecting clocks, dozens of them, lining them up in her home, staring at them for hours, walking in circles, mumbling, lost in a trance. Her friends noticed. She barely ate. She stopped answering calls. Her eyes looked vacant, as if something else had taken root inside her. Eventually, Elif was admitted to a psychiatric facility. Meanwhile, deeper into the legend, he uncovered the truth behind Elif, the one who guards the shrine. Elif was never truly alive nor dead, neither good nor evil. But one thing was certain: when someone steals from the shrine, Elif awakens. The seal people spoke of wasn't a physical lock, it was an energetic barrier. As long as the shrine remained undisturbed, all was well. But once the balance was broken, Elif would show himself, and whoever broke the seal would be claimed. Elif crossed that line, and now she was no longer the same. Elif was committed to a psychiatric clinic. Diagnosis: severe paranoid psychosis with delusions. Her friends said she was never the same again, but no one truly knew what was happening inside her. There was one consistent pattern. Elif kept whispering about wooden clogs. She drew the same face. Over and over again, a pale face with no eyes. What no one knew was that Elif had never truly completed the ritual. Yes, she had returned the clogs, but she had broken the seal in secret, under the cover of night, and according to legend, Elif had seen her face. Meanwhile, neighbors near the shrine started reporting strange occurrences. Footsteps at night, a shadow in the distance, whispers echoing around the tomb. Give it back. Veda Hannum quietly stepped down from her role. She was overheard saying, "I'm too old to save a soul who's broken the seal." Elif declined rapidly. She stopped speaking, stopped eating, barely reacted. Sometimes she would whisper. I looked at him, and then one night, she vanished. No broken locks, no security breach, no explanation. She was simply gone from her room. All they found was a single note on the floor. One word: forgive me. Years later, her friends returned to the shrine. He noticed a young woman sitting silently near the tomb. She came every evening, never spoke, just sat, watching. No one knew her name. No one knew when she had arrived. But her voice when she whispered in prayer sounded a lot like Elif. End of episode 4 in the story of Tezveren Baba's shrine. Thank you so much for watching. And if you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe and hit the like button. It really helps me out. And I'll see you in the next video.